Man, 2024, season number 4 on the channel. And I know to some of you, it feels like yesterday we were at Gillette watching Superman Henry Hasselbeck take down St. John's Prep, watching KP dominate, finally get their state championship, watching Milton boat race Walpole after I picked them to get their asses beat, or watching Justin Marquez run all over Salem in the Super Bowl, definitely rushing for more yards than anyone on the Patriots did in Gillette that year. All that is a thing of the past, and it's all history. And the 2024 season is among us. And I know you've been waiting for me to say, welcome back, or welcome to Recruiting Board. I'm Alex Agrella. Like, share, and of course, subscribe to the best family here on YouTube. On this channel, we grind like nobody else does in all of New England. I produce weekly videos traveling around New England, covering high school football and college football, overall promoting, marketing, and showcasing the ballers we got up here in New England. So if you... Whoa, my voice cracked there. Ooh, God. Yeah, we'll put it in editing. So if you really love me, which I know you do, you need to put a thumbs up on this video, bro. Because if there's anything I've learned running YouTube over the years, it really helps your video get pushed through the algorithm. I'll be at 4K subs this year. It's not a question of when I'll hit it. If I'll hit it, it's when. My goal is for it to be hit by October 1st, though. So help me get to 4,000 subscribers. Last year, I did a preseason top 10 video, which actually did very well, and y'all had a lot of fun with it. And everyone's been asking when I'm gonna do one. I spent a lot of time creating this preseason top 10, and I made a huge change at the last minute. This one is an exclusively MIAA top 10 ranking, and where I believe all the teams stand entering the 2024 season. Some players to watch out for, some storylines built in for the season, and ultimately, who are gonna be the top dogs in the state and in the divisions this year. Like always, these are just my opinions, even though the more I state them, people get pissed off. At least I'm out here voicing it. Whether you agree, disagree, hate it, love it, put it in the comments below. Again, it helps with the algorithm. However, I do want to issue something again this year that I did last year. Last year, I told you guys to comment the game you wanted me to go to, and the most liked comment, I would go to the game. And I delivered. Ben Schreiber from Needham, he commented Needham versus Wellesley. It got the most amount of likes. I ended up popping out for that game. So we're gonna do that again this year. If there's a specific game you want me to go to, comment it below and run it up. Some of you guys have really strong fan bases, so getting them to run up a comment shouldn't be that hard. All right, I've kept y'all waiting long enough, but I do have one more announcement to make. Like always, if you really want to take your support to the next level, you can join my members only for only $3 a month. Let's jump into Recruiting Board's preseason 2024 top 10 teams in the MIAA. We're gonna work from 10 up, and what I'm gonna do is preview each team, and then I'm gonna give you a game to watch out for on their schedule for 2024. Number 10, we go with the Milton Wildcats, the defending D3 state champions. The team who last year I predicted that they were going to get swamped by Walpole in the state championship did the exact opposite. And it was tough because I wanted to put Walpole at 10 here. I just can't do it. Milton has built an incredible reputation amongst the entire state. They've gone to back-to-back Division III state championship games. They play some of the hardest teams every single year. So you know they're going to be battle tested entering the playoffs. And they have some of the best coaching in the state in Coach Dembowski. And I can back that up by saying the fact that you go to back-to-back state championships with two different quarterbacks, with two completely different skill sets, and you're able to move the offense around. Yeah, they stumbled a bit late in the year, but because those kids bought into what they preach at Milton, they knew they were going to be all right, even when idiots like me said they were going to lose. They returned two of the better skill players in the state, in Harrison Hinkle and Ronan Sammons, who had over 1,000 yards receiving last year as a sophomore. And Harrison Hinkle also had a pick 6 in the Super Bowl. And you know those guys over at Milton have been playing 7-on-7 all summer. They're conditioned, they're ready, There's already a chemistry there. Patrick Collins steps in for Patrick Miller this year. But what I've seen with Dembo and his quarterbacks, he will adjust the offense and he will get the quarterback comfortable no matter what the skill set is. He's been developing and training quarterbacks for a long time. Milton will replace a lot, though. A lot. 26 seniors to be exact. But again, when you have the coaching and the culture that they do have over there, and you're going to know that they're battle tested. Look at their schedule this year. They're primed to make a deep Division III run. How deep is yet to be seen. November football can be very unpredictable, but I'm not going to be the idiot that picks against the Wildcats again. I put Walpole here at 10 because I love Noah McKenzie. I think he is one of the best quarterbacks in the state, but I got to give it to Milton. The history's there. They'll be able to settle that one in the regular season. So we have the Milton Wildcats to start us off at number 10. And their game to watch out for this season, it's their opener against Needham. I think that's a huge game for both teams, but specifically for Milton, this is a huge determination of where we at. Some of these new guys that haven't played a lot of varsity football or any varsity football, meet Needham. This is going to be a big test for them. Needham is going to be a very senior-led team this year. They can come in and they can do damage. They can move the ball on Needham, put up points early. I think that makes a giant statement for them on game one. Who are we? Yeah, we're the best team in D3. We beat a team that made it to the Final Four last year. Who's number on recruiting board's top 10 list? Are they? Are they not? You'll have to watch the video to see. Needham versus Milton, September 6th, the home opener. That's going to be a good one. Number 9 on the list, the Marshfield Rams. Bruh, I will be honest. I struggled and I felt bad that I couldn't move them up on this list. And I thought they would have been higher. But if you had asked me in December where I'd have Marshfield entering 24, I would probably say in the top 5. However, I'm going to say it because Coach Aruka can't and these other kids can't. Marshfield was ransacked by the privates this year. Gio Joseph, who made some giant plays against CM and who is one of their explosive playmakers, he goes off to Milton Academy. Brady Holmes, one of their bigger and younger offensive linemen, he goes down to Tabor. Those are 2 huge pieces for them. In addition, they lost a couple of seniors, but this is going to be a senior-heavy team this year, and there's going to be some juniors on their team stepping up. But of course, everyone knows the dynamic duo that is Tor Moss, one of the better quarterbacks in the state, and Davin DeTruth is also back. Those 2 put up a lot of points last year, and they are going to be a huge part of their offense, why they can run that speed, hurry-up offense that they do. That could be the top QB running back duo in the state. Again, plenty of people will come back for Marshfield this year. And I think their time to surprise anyone is long, long gone after they smoked CM last year. Like, I'm never sleeping on them again. And plus, no matter who you are, Marshfield sucks to prepare for because of that offense. You're running a lot of plays. You're having to shift some things around on the fly defensively. You're trying to figure out what just went wrong on the last play while trying to focus on this upcoming play. Where's that guy going? Where's he going? Wait, no, the ball's going that way. They're going to have a tough schedule too, and they could stumble coming out of the gate. But as you see with Marshfield, the more reps they get, the more confidence that they get week to week, they're a way better team as you enter November than they would be at the start of the season. Some teams peak way too early. We've seen with them last year. They are a force in November. The game on their schedule I have circled. Again, their opener against St. John's Prep. This will be the 4th time they've played, and they haven't beaten Prep yet. They've gotten close. And some would even say they're the underdog in this, and I don't think they're the underdog. I think these teams are a little more even than we think. If you're Marshfield, you're like, we can win this game. This is not a game that we are an underdog, and we expect to win this game if you're them. To me, I think this is going to be a great way for them to measure how far they can go in the playoffs and how effective their offense is on a strong defense. Marshfield versus St. John's Prep, week 1. Should I go? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to put that on. Check, check. I don't know about that. That was kind of ugly now. Boy, we're holding it. At number 8, I got Foxborough. You want to talk about a team I really slept on? I barely even showed any type of support for Foxborough. Pretty sure I picked like a Votech school to beat them in the playoffs. Part of that was a joke, by the way, but some people didn't seem to agree. I don't care if Foxborough is a D5 program. They are an absolute house and have some of the biggest linemen in the state. People forget they were one of the only teams that played KP kind of close. And what they did to that Hanover offense, that was legit. How can anyone be sleeping on Foxborough entering the 24 season and not have them in their top 10? To me, they're a clear-cut favorite in their division. And they have a number of returning starters coming back. Their quarterback, Mike Marsusala. Hopefully I got your name right, bro. Eminem, that's your new name, brother. And after watching his film, I actually think he's a really good player and definitely one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the state. And he'll have a huge lineman defending him this year in Jonathan Baldy, who is also a tank on the defensive line. 6'2" behemoth. Nolan Gordon comes back. And they got a lot of juniors that will be stepping up for them. So I'm not going to be surprised when Foxborough, as the season progresses, is dominating and we're all watching them. We're all asking ourselves, what do they got cooking down in Foxborough? And again, is it going to be a repeat for them in Division 5? And their game to watch out for, honestly, I had two. This is the only tie of the day because I couldn't decide between their game against KP and their game against LS. Because KP, to me, that's the easy choice. One of the best teams in the state, right down the street for them, the built-in rivalry. These two teams are actually very similar in terms of culture, with coaches that have been there a long time and players that want to be at those schools. So I think that's the easy choice because I think that's a great matchup between two tremendous teams. Two top 10 teams, by the way, on my preseason. But I think that, to me, the Lincoln-Sudbury game is interesting because they're a D1 hopeful playoff team this year, a team I was high on last year, right? And I think that if Foxborough goes in and like rolls Lincoln-Sudbury, not saying they are, I'm saying if they do, there's going to be conversation about why are they in Division 5? Can they go up? Should they go up? Should they start playing Milton in Division 3? Could they even go up to Division 2, right? I think that that's a legitimate conversation because they're one of the more competitive teams in the state, regardless of size. I think that these are two very interesting games. Number 7, to me, I feel like it's a program we always forget about until we don't, and that's the Duxbury Dragons. I'm going to have them high on my list this year because to me, I'll speak for myself, I forget about them until later on down the line in the playoffs, and you're like, dude, nobody's going to beat them. They're just going to win. They're so good every single year. And to me, I think that Duxbury, they could play up in Division 1, 2, or 3. I think they'd be a playoff team in every division. They're the only team on this list that is going for a three-peat, and I think they are in great position to do so. They're a well-oiled machine. Alex Barlow was one of the best players in the state. Losing him will be huge. However, it is next man up. What I think is going to happen is Jack Reese is going to basically step in for what Barlow was doing last year. He's going to be spearheading the defense, but I think he would have gotten more reps last year at running back had Barlow not been there. Who knows? Maybe they just kind of played jungle gym football like they did back in 2019. You know, the first time I ever watched Duxbury play, they moved Will Prouty to quarterback. He was a receiver, and they ended up pretty much lighting up everyone not named Springfield Central that year. And Trevor Jones is very similar to a Will Prouty. But regardless, I think that Duxbury's season ends with another state championship, giving them their third in as many years. By the way, dream matchup would be them versus Foxborough. Would love to see those two teams play. But to me, their game of 2024 to watch out for is their matchup against Hanover on 9/20. Because typically these two teams have played each other in the opener, but it looks like they've moved to week 3 this year. Last year, Hanover beat Duxbury. That was their only loss of the year to their crosstown rival. That is not going to sit well with the Dragons. And you know that they've been sitting and waiting for that game since they lost week 1. And I think it's going to be different though. Playing a team week 1, things are going to happen for either team, right? A team is going to be way different week 3 than they ever would be week 1. Should I go? Let me know where in the comments below. Number 6. Now, this is where some of you are going to be like, huh? Number 6, Catholic Memorial. This is as low as I've had them, and I never thought I'd have CM this low on a preseason poll, but here we are. I had a hard time putting them over Marshfield. There's some private school bias in there, right? I think CM is going through a little bit of we're not going to call it a rebuilding, a little bit of a post all of those D1 recruits era that they had. The class of 2023, they had 11 D1 kids in that class. 11. Count them. Like, seriously, 11. That's not including the guys like J.C. Petrangelo who went on to UMass Dartmouth either. There's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period. And last year, we can say, yeah, well, they got injuries, they had this. That's football. Everyone has injuries. I would say that nobody had them worse than CM maybe, but that's football. But CM, don't take this as a shot rather than a compliment, because that team was operating on such a high level for so long. It's hard to sustain that level of success for years and years and years like you did. And maybe the hype isn't as high going into the season than it has been in previous seasons. With that said, I think that this is one of the more drama-filled off seasons that they've had, because they lost their quarterback, Peter Bork, who's down at Tabor Academy now, and everyone knows what happened. And I'm just going to say it now. Kais Flannery is over at CM now. He went from Boston College High to CM. Everyone knows it. Everyone's been talking about it. I'm just the one that has put it out and said it. We're all going to see it here at practice in the next few weeks. That's a lot of drama right there. The backup quarterback from BC High, technically CM's rival, transfers to CM. There's going to be a lot of eyes on that situation. That's all I'm going to say. They do have guys like Mahoney coming back, Tim Rowan, Marcelino, who is now BC committed, and Craig Fitzgerald, BC's strength and conditioning coach. His son, Mac, who's a tank of himself, he's going to CM, and he just committed to BC as well, a 2026. So there is size at CM. There always will be if you're coached by Jonathan DiBiase. And again, while CM did get hit with a lot of injuries last year, including Mekhi Dodd, who to me would have been one of the best running backs in all of New England. All of New England, hands down. His one game against Mansfield was dumb. Was ridiculous watching him play. That combination of size and speed, you don't see it a whole lot. Well, he'll be back in 2024. Chris Sanchez will be back. LaShawn Sharp is back. They got 3 guys who all carried the rock for them at a high level last year. They did lose Kufler, but Isaiah Fabulous comes back. I bet he ends up as BC with all of his other teammates. So I think CM will be okay. But I'm not going to sit here and say that they are the clear-cut favorite to win Division II at all. That is not the case this year. So I think having them at number 6 is a great place to have them. In their game to watch out for this year, this is the game that majority of you look forward to every single year on my channel. I actually am going to self-proclaim it the Recruiting Board Bowl. St. John's Prep versus Catholic Memorial. Last year, the Prep beat them for the first time since 2019. That was a game where, if you watch the film, the Prep dominated them. They beat them bad. -1 busted play. I've never seen a game like that from the Knights, and I know that they have that game circled. They don't like to lose over in West Roxbury, and they are still thinking about that game from last year. There will be a lot riding on the Catholic Conference at that point. That would be a huge win for them to get, but that's the game I got circled, the Recruiting Board Bowl. Number 5, the Needham Rockets. The Rockets stock is all the way up in 2024, and I'm buying. And I think you are dumb if you're sleeping on this team entering this season with all the talent they have returning. And after such a strong 2023 season where arguably they could have beaten Xaverian in the semis. That was a team led by majority juniors. Now it's Aiden Williams' time. Now it's Ben Shriver's time. Now it's Charlie Simeone's time. Brandon Carr, Brant Bickford. Between all those guys I just said, that's a lot of football that's been played, which is valuable for any team in the state. But when you return 2 of your linebackers, your quarterback, 1 of your running backs, 1 of your best offensive linemen, majority of your offensive line, by the way, you're going to be a problem. The question, though, for Needham is, How do they operate their offense? Because last year, Tate Hoffmeister, who is the biggest piece that they lost, Tate Hoffmeister was basically their workhorse, and they would sprinkle in Aiden. How do they do that this year? Do they throw it a little bit more? Is Aiden the main running back, but he's their main linebacker too? That's the biggest question, is what do they do offensively? But defensively, I'm not concerned with the Rockets at all. They're going to be stingy. They're going to be fast. They're going to fly around and hit you. And if you turn the ball over, good luck getting it back on them. They're one of my teams. If they make it to the state championship game, I'm not going to be surprised. And you shouldn't be either, because I'm telling you right now, I think their game to watch out for is against Walpole. Because for both teams, I think they're going to be making a deep playoff run. So at this point in the season, in the Octobers, that's a real all right, where are we at? What have we done wrong? What have we done right? What are we good at? What are we not good at? How are they going to match up against a team like Walpole, who will spread you out and use their playmakers, use different route combinations, do all sorts of things? Last year, that was a close game. I think that's going to be their most interesting game on their schedule. And it's really going to be a telling tale for both teams at that point. So the Needham Rockets at number 5. Number 4, St. John's Prep. Duh, Prep. And it isn't often a team with as many returning starters as the Prep does is number 4. But there is some inexperience at some positions. I believe that there's a lot of questions surrounding them. Definitely more than usual, simply because of the hype around Vargas. So I think 4 is actually kind of a good number for them right now, because we don't really know what to expect. Say if Vargas comes out and he's just slinging it and he's doing well, do they change from what they've been doing traditionally? He's got the pieces to throw to. He has 6'5" Merrick Barlow. He has receivers that played last year. Riley Salve, he's young and upcoming for the Prep. That's going to be interesting to see how they develop throughout the season. Or if Vargas just isn't quite ready for that yet. Do they take a step back and they just go back to what they're good at, their bread and butter? Run it down your throat and try to stop us from doing it. They'll be plugging some holes on defense. Obviously Dragettis leaves. Matt Callahan, Mason McSweeney leaves. Dylan Alberti's gone. So there are some holes to plug. But as we know with the Prep, it is next guy up over there. Their game to watch out for, and I don't think anyone's going to argue with this, is definitely their Thanksgiving matchup against X. Because I don't know how anyone over there would be able to sleep if they went 0-3 in 2 years versus Xaverian. Sorry, I know it might be too soon for some of you Prep fans, but this has to be the most angry some of those kids have been in their lives. The fact they lost to them on Thanksgiving and in the Super Bowl last year. So obviously, this is going to be a huge game for them. 1 and 2 because they lost, because this game is at home. To me, definitely one of the best rivalries in all of New England. I already went in 22, but should I go this year? Let me know where in the comments below. Number 3 is a team I'll never ever leave them out of a top 10 like I did last year. My dumbass didn't even put them in it at all. And some people might say I have them too low on their list. The King Philip Warriors. Man, it seems like at KP, they just have one of those programs. You just reload. Since Coach Lee got there, those kids love playing for him. They go out. They're proud to play for KP football, bro. And last year, when they won the state championship game, it was like they've already been there. They knew that they were going to get there. Those kids got a lot of swag down there. Their offense, it's not complex. It is just one of those, can you stop it offenses? And I love that shit. And they're bringing back 3 of the best running backs in the state. 3. They got Drew Lightning LaPlante, who ran for over 1,000 yards last year. Kalen King, who's a house that gets TDs for them. And Aiden Astoria, who's just that change of pace, power runner that they got. Which means the Hockomock is in a lot of trouble. Because good luck stopping those guys, whether it's in September or December. That is a tough committee to run through. McLeish is going off to UNH, I believe. Shout out Tommy. But there's going to be some adjustments having to be made, just like anything else. But again, KP's offense is not that complex. Whoever goes in and plays for them, I'm going to have confidence in them. They've seen what it is to have success. They just have to not screw things up. You have 3 top-tier running backs, so you have a lot to rely on. I'm not worried about them at all defensively. When last year you only let up 80 points and score over 400, I'm not worried about them. And I will say this, the Hockomock is one of the most competitive leagues in Massachusetts. It's them in the Catholic Conference. So the thing is that KP is going to be wearing a bullseye no matter where they go. And they don't care. They want the bullseye on their chest. That means they're doing something right. However, the pressure is going to be on KP to repeat. And that's not easy. Can they rise above it? I think they can. I think KP goes on and wins another Division II state championship this year. Their game to watch is kind of a tough one for me, but I did pinpoint it. And I'm going to pick their game against Milford. This is a deep game in the season. Where the Hockomock's going to be at that time, we don't know. But we do know that these two teams have wars when they play each other, and that KP has been big brothering them since 2021. Both of these teams could be undefeated entering this game. So I think there could be a lot riding on it. But if KP is clicking and they're healthy, I think they're going to be a tough team to stop for anybody. Doesn't matter who it is. So that's number 3, the KP Warriors. Some of my best fans, by the way. And then there were 2. And guys, this was tough, man. I battled for weeks where to put these 2. I battled for weeks. I had this team at 1 for a while, but I moved them down last minute. Number 2, the Springfield Central Golden Eagles. I believe that Springfield Central is going to be back to where they've established is the standard for their program. And they basically return everybody this year. Our 2023 Freshman of the Year, Jarrett Stain, he gets another year older, and he has 2 top receivers, 2 D1 receivers to throw to. Matthias Barber and Dwayne Early. I think Barber, by the way, I think he's the best receiver in the state, without a doubt. At running back, they got Isaiah Rogers, who has Mississippi State offer, a BC offer. He's only a sophomore, so he has somebody to give it off to. Their line, spearheaded by Dom Rio, is nasty. And defensively, man, they got a UNH commit. They got Jack Casey, who just committed to Georgetown. They're going to be flying around. And defensively, I want to say this, that Central's MO typically they score. Last year, I thought that they were one of the most physically hard-hitting teams I've ever watched. That game against the Variant, those guys were smacking each other. They sacked Henry 4 times. They are fast defensively. And all around, I think this is going to be one of the more well-balanced team that we've seen them have in recent memory. It's going to be tough to believe that they have youth at some positions. I just couldn't put them ahead of the team that you all know is ahead of them. However, their game to watch for the year is against the Variant, because last year we all know that was the team that knocked them out. And typically the Golden Eagles don't lose unless it's to IMG or an out-of-state team, right? But last year, Zavarian finally got their revenge on them and beat them in the playoffs. And they will be playing them in the regular season. And I think both teams will be undefeated entering this game. And this game could determine the best team in the state of Massachusetts. And if I had to put my money on it, I think those 2 teams will see each other twice this year again. That would be 4 years in a row that they met in the playoffs. Springfield Central at number 2, and that leaves us with number 1, the Zavarian Hawks. I'm putting Zavarian at number 1, y'all. And I'll be honest, I had them at number 2, but the Dominic Funk transfer changed everything. Dominic Funk came over from Sebs, and for those of you who don't know him, you're gonna know him, because he was one of, if not the best defensive player in the ISL last year. One of the top defensive players in all the NEPSAC last year, by the way, as a sophomore. He is an edge that causes havoc no matter who you are. Double, triple team him. Do what you can. And I get it. Does one player make that much of a difference? Yeah, kind of. When you're joining the best defensive lineman in the state for the 2025 class, Micah Amidi, BC commit, that does make a huge difference. Good luck trying to run that ball. And if your linemen aren't on the same page, you're giving up a sack. That's going to be a tough defense. They got Shivagato who comes back in the secondary. They enter a chapter that is going to be tough to get over. The post-Henry Hasselbeck era. Let's be honest. Henry Hasselbeck was the most dynamic player in the state last year. It's going to be so hard to replace the type of mobility and passing ability that he had. 2027 QB Will Wood, who actually got a start last year, is taking over for Henry this year. And there is going to be a lot on his shoulders entering this season. The expectation at Xaverian is to win. In skill especially, they're going to have a lot of new guys that are going to have to step up and make plays for them. It's not like Vargas at the prep, where he has Merrick, who has experience. Will Wood's not going to have Charlie Camella. He's not going to have Montero or Caleb Brown. Those are 3 D1 players. So these first couple games are going to be critical for Will. Get his feet wet. Get him moving. Get the team rolling. Running back wise, there will be a hole. Denzel Pierre and Mike O'Connor are both gone. So who gets the rock for them? Is it going to be more of a committee, or is it going to be more of what Pierre was doing, where he was the workhorse? There are some question marks over at X, but the answers we do have, I think, are big. One thing we will know about X2, like always, they will be battle tested. Look at this schedule they got. Bishop Fian, who will be a playoff hopeful. Everett, another playoff hopeful. CM, Springfield Central, St. John's Prep. They play a lot of teams who will be competing in the playoffs. So you know once they get to that point, they're going to be ready. But their game of the year to look out for, which shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Xaverian versus CM. Should not be a surprise. That game last year was a heartbreaker for the Hawks. They lost on a last-second trick play. One of the greatest games I've ever seen, ever. I know it sucked for Xaverian, but they have a boogeyman that they have to beat. Last year I said that Springfield Central was their boogeyman after beating them so many years. Now they got another monster they got to beat, and that's CM, because they haven't beaten CM in a long time. After last year, a game that they should have won, that's a game that you know the Hawks are going to have circled, that they don't want to lose it. And if you're CM, that's a game that can solidify your status and can shut idiots like me up and even really heighten the game versus the prep. I think that's Xaverian's biggest game of the year. Guys, that's my top 10. Whether you agree or disagree, please let me know how you feel about it in the comments below. I'm just out here voicing my opinion. I'm not going to win every single time, but at least I'm out here voicing my opinion and producing content for you. Whether I'm right or not, it doesn't matter. But regardless, I'm pumped for the season. Everyone, again, like always, for the last time, like, share, and of course, subscribe to the best family here on YouTube.